Joining me right now is the former acting ICE director, Fox News contributor, Tom Homan. Tom, it's great to have you this morning. These numbers are scary. They are killing American citizens. Your reaction?
Well, it's not a coincidence that the same year they had historic illegal immigration. Historic. More people attempted to cross this border under Joe Biden this first year than any time in the history of this nation. He went from the most secure border we've ever had to the historic numbers. So it's not surprising. When you have historic illegal immigration, it opens up to historic drug flow. And this is what you mentioned the amount of seizures they made. This is what they caught. Now remember, 40 to 50% of the Border Patrol is no longer on the line. They're in centers processing people. In Del Rio, during the Haitian crisis, there's 224 miles of border unguarded for weeks. In Yuma, just 2 weeks ago, there was nobody on the border because everybody was processing. Hundreds were crossing the line unimpeded into the city of Yuma. So look, and we already know there's nearly 500,000 gotaways. 500,000 people crossed the border that weren't arrested. That's based on camera traffic, drone traffic, and sensor traffic. So if there's 500,000 people coming across the border not being arrested, how many of them were carrying fentanyl? So if this amount is what they seized, God help us how much got across unimpeded into our neighborhoods across in the country.
Well, I mean, you're right. Look at Yuma, Arizona. It's not just Texas. Yuma is seeing a 2,400% increase in border encounters over the last fiscal year. Now the mayor in Yuma is warning that it doesn't have the resources to deal with the influx of migrants. Tom, this is expanding beyond Texas. Your thoughts on what's going on in Yuma right now?
Look, you're going to see the numbers rise in San Diego. You're going to see the numbers rise in New Mexico, that even they've got a small piece of the border. This is not going away. As a matter of fact, spring is coming, warmer weather's coming. You're going to see a bigger crossing based on seasonality that I've seen over the last 2 decades. The Biden administration, to this day, has not done anything to slow the flow. They haven't took one enforcement action. The only thing they have done enforcement-wise, they were sued, and I was part of that lawsuit. We had to sue them to put the Remain in Mexico program back in place. It's been months. And what have they done? My sources said they removed about 260 people back to the Remain in Mexico. The Trump administration did 260 an hour. So to say 260 removals in 2 months is embarrassing. I think the court needs to call them back in and find them in contempt of court. They're slow rolling this program, and while they're slow rolling it, they're asking the Supreme Court to end the program.
Tom, how is this administration getting away with this? I mean, 100,000 overdoses in the last year, largely due to fentanyl. Drug cartels are lacing commonly used drugs with fentanyl, and it is causing our citizens to overdose and get killed. This is being made in China. It's being pushed by the Mexican cartels. You've got a terrible situation in terms of Yuma and McAllen, Texas. And the Biden administration is still not releasing the long-awaited ICE report on migrant arrests and deportations for 2021. It's usually released at the end of the calendar year, but critics are suggesting they want to stall because they know how damaging this report is.
Well, first of all, let's not forget about the national security crisis. Just not fentanyl's coming across the country. Border Patrol arrested 16 people on the FBI screening database. That's how many they arrested. So how many of the 500,000 could be a known suspected terrorist? And the ICE report, look, I was the ICE director. When I was third in command of ICE, I oversaw the unit that puts the data together every year. They had those numbers in mid-October. So you're right. What's the delay? I tell you what the delay is sitting at the White House to the DPC, Domestic Policy Council. They're trying to figure out how to spin this because these numbers are going to be devastating. If you look at the first 9 months of the Biden administration, if they continue at that pace they have first 9 months, the removal is going to be down 90%. And the removals of criminals is going to be down 65%. And this administration says, well, we're going to reprioritize ICE to concentrate more on criminals, even though when Biden came in office, 9 out of 10 people ICE arrested was a criminal. Were a criminal. So they use this excuse, we're going to concentrate more on criminals. This report is going to show a 50 to 65% decline in the removal of criminals compared to the last full year of Trump administration. So this is going to tear the blanket back, and they're going to show this wasn't about reprioritization. This is about not abolishing ICE, but abolishing the mission of ICE.
Tom, what is the motivation? Why are they having these wide open borders with all of these drugs and potential terrorists coming in? What's the motivation? I still don't understand why they would be doing this.
They sold this country out, and they sold our national security and border security out for perpetual power. They think there's our future Democratic voters come, millions of them. And look, they don't even have to vote, right? Because another thing Biden did is overturn the Trump census rule. On the next census, millions of people are going to be counted in these sanctuary cities. That's going to result in more seats in the House for the Democrats, which of course leads to electoral college. This is about perpetual power for the Democrats. They think they're importing future Democratic voters. There's no other reason, because I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, there's no downside on a secure border. In this administration, this president was the first president in the history of this nation, first president under the 6 presidents I worked for, that came into office and unsecured the most secure border we ever had. The 6 presidents I worked for, starting with Ronald Reagan, they all wanted a secure border. They had different opinions how to do it, but they all wanted a secure border. Yeah. This president unsecured the border.
Unbelievable. Politicizing our national security. Just extraordinary. Tom, it's great to get your take. As always, thanks very much. We will talk soon. Tom Homan joining us this morning.